A short analysis of The Drover's Wife by Henry Lawson. Henry Lawson. Henry Lawson was an Australian writer and bush poet. He is often called Australia's greatest short story writer. He worked for several newspapers and also spent much of the time wandering. His works illuminate the lives of rural working Australians. He has captured some of the spirit of Australian working life by blending pathos and irony realistically. About The Drover's Wife. The Drover's Wife is one of Lawson's most famous short stories. The story was first published in the magazine The Bulletin on July 23, 1892, and then included in Lawson's collection Short Stories in Prose and Verse in the year 1894. Bulletin was Australia's longest running magazine since 1880 to 2008. This story has been included in many anthologies and short story collections over the years. The short story The Chosen Vessel, written by Barbara Bainton in 1896, was written in retaliation or response to this short story, The Drover's Wife. Set in the Australian bush, The Drover's Wife is the tale of a woman facing off against a snake in order to protect herself and her children. Who is called a drover? A drover is someone whose job is to make sheep or cattle or horses move from one place to another. There are several reasons for droving. It may be due to delivering animals to a new owner's property, taking animals to market, moving animals during a drought in search of better feed or water. It may be also due to in search of a yard or ground to walk on the livestock. Let's see the characters in the short story. The first one is the drover's wife. She is the nameless central character who represents the whole bush women in Australia. She inhabits the Australian bush with her 4 children. She encounters various hardships during her husband's absence. She is lonely, poor, but remains strong, who dreams of fashion and another life. She is capable of taking care of herself and the children. The next character is the drover. He is a nameless drover who is often away droving, although he had wanted to give this profession up to a farmer. He takes care of his family as best as he can and is a decent husband, but though his wife knows he sometimes sleeps with other women. However, his fate is unknown at the end of the story. Alligator. Alligator is the big black yellow-eyed mongrel dog. He readily comes to save the day at any sign of trouble for the bushwoman. This alligator is precious to the family and they cannot afford to lose him. He was used by the drover's wife to scare off insistent swagmen in the past. Swagmen appeared in The Chosen Vessel, you all know. They are laborers who travel from place to place with their belongings. And it is to be noted, this alligator keeps a keen look for the snake and in the end manages to kill it. The next character is Tommy. Tommy is the drover's wife's eldest son. He wants to protect his mother, so he wants to be the one who kills the snake. However, he couldn't. Later, when Tommy sees his mother cries, he promises he will never become a drover. Jackie. He is Tommy's younger brother. There are also other minor characters in the short story, the drover's brother. He helps the drover's wife out when the husband is away. Jimmy, he is a local Aboriginal man. Black Mary, she is an elderly woman associated with Jimmy. She helps the drover's wife with one of her childbirths. The setting of the short story is important to know the plot summary. The setting is a 2-room house built of logs or woods and boards. The house has an outside kitchen and a large veranda. The house is surrounded by the vast, desolate Australian bush, and the nearest neighbor is 19 miles away. This is the home of the drover's wife and their 4 children, and her husband, the drover, is away. The plot summary of The Drover's Wife. The story opens with the drover's wife and her children alone in their house in the bush. One of the children discovers a snake and calls for the mother. The bushwoman reaches for the stick and rushes to her children, But meanwhile, the snake hides in a hole between the wall and the floor. As the snake disappears, the woman puts the children to sleep and waits up with her dog alligator for the snake to come out. As she waits, she starts to recall several dangerous situations she had to face throughout the years when her husband was away with the sheep. She had fought bushfire, flood, dangerous men, and even the illness that spread among the cattle. Though she is content and satisfied about her present life, she still feels isolated dreaming of the fashion pictures in the ladies' magazine. The next morning, she runs out of candles and gets up to get more wood to keep the fire burning. She seizes a stick and pulls it out, and the whole wood pile collapses, injuring her. She begins to cry and takes out a handkerchief to wipe away her tears. As the handkerchief is full of holes, she pokes her eyes instead. This ridiculous situation makes her laugh. The story comes to the present. It is near daylight. The bushwoman and her dog are still on the watch for the snake. Suddenly, the snake comes out of a large crack in the partition slabs. The dog alligator starts to chase the snake and eventually kills it. The woman lifts the snake on the point of her stick and throws it into the fire. By the end of the story, it is very pathetic to note that Tommy, the eldest boy, wakes up and notices the tears in the eyes of his mother. Tommy promises his mother that he will never go for droving. What do you understand from the short story, The Drover's Wife? The short story has many similarities with the Barbara Bainton's The Chosen Vessel. In fact, The Chosen Vessel are written in response to The Drover's Wife. But the ultimate theme of both the short stories are different. Lawson in the short story recounts the ways that the bushwoman has fought against nature. The bushwoman's victory in the short story suggests an ultimate assertion of humankind's inevitable dominion over the natural world. The struggle to protect her family against constant threats takes up the majority of the bushwoman's time in Australia. Thus, according to Lawson, the bushwoman wins in the end through a combination of wit and willpower. Thank you.